How's it going, guys? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer, coming at you with another video. Hope you're all doing well. Today we are talking about Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Now, I beat the game about a week ago, and if I don't put out the review, I'm gonna forget everything about the game. I already have. It's gonna be hard for me to talk about it, so I just wanted to give my off-the-cuff final thoughts on this game. Now, when I was playing the game, I haven't really been playing my PS4 a whole lot until recently. And I completely forgot how to capture video. So throughout the playthrough, I captured some amazing clips. But unfortunately, I was holding down the capture button. I would hold it down for like 5 seconds, and then I would get the screen pop. And I thought I was capturing video, but no, I was only capturing screenshots, unfortunately. So I have over 100 screenshots, which were supposed to be video clips, which you'll see embedded in this video. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I wanted to give my thoughts on Uncharted 4, as I have recently, over the last couple of weeks, completed Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3. I went right through them. And Uncharted 4, I can now understand, I can see why a lot of you out there would consider Uncharted 4 to be the greatest Uncharted game of them all. So this game, the first thing I just want to talk about, this game is 9 years old. You could almost say it's 10 years old because it came out in 2016, but it would have gone gold. The final product would have been completed by 2015, I have to imagine, by Naughty Dog. The graphics in this game are some of the best graphics I have ever seen in a video game. And like I said, the game is 9 years old. If you put this game in front of me, and I didn't know any better, you asked me, what console is this for? I could certainly see the argument for how somebody would think this is a PS5 game. That's how good this game looks. It's incredible. The game plays at 30 frames a second, which was common back in 2016 on the PS5, or excuse me, the PS4 and the Xbox. But you don't really notice it. It's super buttery smooth, and the game is long. It's really long, and I thought I had no issues with that whatsoever. I don't know how long it took me to beat this game. I want to say maybe, 23 hours. I'm not sure. It was long, but the attention to detail in this game is leaps and bounds beyond the first 3 Uncharted games on the PS3. It's just unbelievable. I loved it so much. A lot of the game centers around Nathan and his brother Sam, who is voiced by what's the guy's name? Troy Baker? Is that his name? Something Baker. Everybody in the video game community jerks off to that guy. I'm not a huge fan. He did a good job voice acting Sam in the game, but yeah. I understand now. I understand why Naughty Dog has put this franchise to bed. I understand why now, because they really put their complete effort into this game. And to think that I only paid whatever it was, $10, $15 for this copy of the game. If you bought the game full retail back when it came out, you weren't getting ripped off. That's for sure. The game features a variety of different locales. At the beginning of the game, you start off as a young Nathan Drake again, and there's a little bit of an origin story there, how you met your brother. And then there's a really cool, I call it breaking the fourth wall, but it's not really. But you fast forward to current times, and you're Nathan, and you're there with your wife there, whatever her name is. I can't remember it right now. And you guys are playing Crash Bandicoot in your house, which I thought was really funny. I thought it was really cool. You get to play the game for a bit. And I know I'm all over the map here, but in all of the Naughty Dogs, they feature levels where at some point you're running towards the screen. That is straight out of Crash Bandicoot. So you can see how Crash Bandicoot, one of the first games from Naughty Dog, one of the first big games from Naughty Dog, you can see how they still ended up borrowing elements from that game in the Uncharted games. I thought I would mention that because I didn't mention that in any of my other Uncharted reviews, but yeah. So the game, you set off and you're with Sam, and you're obviously on a treasure hunt. I'm not going to go into specifics here, but you end up going to, is it Scotland? And you're on this mountain, and it's awesome. The whole time I'm going around every nook and cranny looking for the treasure, the secret little treasures that you can find in the game, like all the other Uncharted games. And unlike the other games, which I mentioned in my previous Uncharted 3 review, where I truly believe Naughty Dog doesn't necessarily want you to stop and admire the details, because when you stop and admire the details on those old PS3 games, you can really point out the imperfections as far as the graphics are concerned. Not the case with Uncharted 4. Photorealistic graphics, you can stop and admire the scenery, the waterfalls, and it just never disappoints. It's unbelievable. And then once you leave Scotland, you end up in Madagascar, and that's the scene that everybody has seen, even if you haven't played the game, where you get to ride basically what is a Jeep. You get to drive the Jeep, and it's not open world, but it feels like it. And again, the graphics are so incredible. Oh my god. And the dialogue, the witty banter between the characters, it never disappoints whatsoever. And then later on in the game, you meet up with your wife again, and you guys traverse through another, I can't remember where you are, another section. Maybe you're still in Madagascar. But yeah, you traverse through another tropical sort of area, and you get access to like a pick as well that you can use to climb walls. But yeah, oh my god. The game is long, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. I really enjoyed it so much. This has entered my top 10 list of the greatest video games of all time, for me personally. Even at the very end of the game, when you stumble upon Sir Francis Drake's, I think that's who it is, the sunken ship in the cavern, that was awesome. That was so cool. I really enjoyed that. Oh my god. The only few nitpicks I have with the game, so with the original 3 Uncharted games, granted it was a different time, right? We're talking PS3. You boot up the game and you'd have the main title screen, and it would have, like, usually what was on the box art of the game would be your title screen, and you'd have that iconic Uncharted theme song. Well, with Uncharted 4, you don't get that. The opening screen is very reminiscent of The Last of Us. It's just a screen that pops up with some ambient wind, and you can see like a skull in a cage, I think, and it's swinging back and forth. It's fine, but I kind of miss how things were, where you would just get like a arcade style, just a screen that pops up with the music. Okay, so that's just personal taste. They went for more of like I said, a Last of Us aesthetic, and you can feel a little bit of The Last of Us in this game as far as how some of the graphics are concerned. At least that's how I felt going through some of the areas in the water and stuff. It kind of felt like The Last of Us. And speaking of the original theme song, it's not really in the game. There's like a remixed version of it. It's more of like a soft sort of piano-y version of it. It's fine, but I would have loved to have seen them implement the original Uncharted theme song, even maybe towards the end, when you're getting onto the gunfights around the ships, and you're swinging from the wire there, the rope. I think that would have been really cool. I think the ending of the game, spoiler alert, so there's something I do want to complain about. So the ending of the game, you get in this sword fight with this other guy who's involved with chasing the same treasure that you're trying to chase with your brother. And you get involved in this quick time sword fighting sort of scene, and it just kind of I don't know why they did that. Like, so That's the one thing with Uncharted 4. After all this time, you're still dealing with QTEs in this game. Which, fine, I don't mind. It's whatever. But for that final fight, the sword fight, I think that it would have been way better if they could have just let you use the sword just like as if you had a gun in your hand with the gunfights in the Uncharted games, and just be able to, instead of having this quick time event where you're pressing the button, you got the icons flashing on the screen. I think it would have been better just to give us control of Nathan with the sword and do a real-time sword fight where you could parry and dodge and do all that. I think that would have been a lot better. And then after you defeat this guy who's trying to kill you, it just gets even more ridiculous because Sam is wedged under this huge log which would kill anybody instantly. Okay? And Nathan's knee-jerk reaction is to run over to this cannon that's on the boat, and he pulls out Sam's Zippo lighter and he lights the cannon, and then a cannonball shoots out on the side of the boat and it cracks the boat open, and the water comes into the boat and it lifts this huge 2x4 off of Sam, and then Sam gets up and you guys are off on your merry way. I thought that was absolutely stupid. They should have just left Sam there to die, okay? That is what he wanted. He wanted the treasure. They should have just left him on the boat to die alongside the other guy that you killed, and then you could have ran off the boat and saved your own life. I think that would have been a way better ending, in my personal opinion. But who am I, right? I think that would have been way better. And then they should have just ended the game at that. When you're on the dock with your wife there, whatever her name is, the hot blonde. They should have just left it at that. But no, you get an epilogue and you're playing as Nathan's daughter. And like at that point, I'm like, now you're going a little bit too far. This is a bit unnecessary. And then while you're on this sort of beach resort, beach house with Nathan's daughter, you have to go around and like interact with all these objects and things. This is really boring. And then Nathan shows up with his wife there, and Nathan's got more of a grayish salt and pepper to his hair. So they're really putting the nail in the coffin as far as not wanting to do any more Uncharted games. So then you have an older Nathan Drake show up, and I guess maybe they do leave it open as far as the possibility of an Uncharted starring Nathan's daughter, maybe. But that aside, that's my only sort of gripe and nitpick. But as far as the game is concerned, it was incredible. It was really incredible. And that's the type of experience that you're going to get from a Naughty Dog game, much like a Rockstar game, maybe even more so. But the graphics, my God, the graphics. Even the baked shadows in this game, they're not like flickering all over the place like a lot of even games on my Xbox Series X. You play games and you really look at it and you can see the cracks in the floor when you really start to look at the graphics on a lot of these modern games. Because the Xbox Series X and the PS5, they're not as powerful as a lot of these games really demand. So when you play a lot of these modern games on your PS5 and your Xbox Series X, like I said, a lot of it, when you're playing it in performance mode, I know I'm going off on a rant here, but you play it in performance mode as an example, you see flickery shadows and not the greatest ray traced reflections and things like that. Whereas in this game, again, it's a PS4 game. The lighting, the baked shadows, the artistic direction, the textures and everything, better than 99.9% of the modern games that I have played on my Xbox Series X. That is how good this game looks. Even the reflections, the water, the weather effects. Oh my God, when you're on the island there, and you've got the boat, and you're on the island with your brother, that was probably my most favorite part of the game. I thought that was amazing. That was so good. That was so good. And later on, when you're on that island, at some point you go underground, I think, and then you come up from being underground, and the sky changes. It's completely dark. Okay, and the next thing you know, you see boats in the distance, and it's the end. The guys that are looking for the other guys that are looking for the treasure, and they're coming towards the island. And then the next thing you know, a storm rolls in, and then you jump on your boat and you take off. I love that part of the game. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was great. Oh my god! And the dolphins are going in and out of the water. Oh my god! Oh my god. So that's basically it. I know I'm all over the map here, but yeah, no, I can't state it enough. You know, I don't care. Some people think the game's too long. I couldn't stop playing it. I had a smile on my face the whole time. I friggin' loved it so much. Oh my god. It was just such an incredible experience. So for me personally, ranking the games, at least the ones I've played so far, okay, I would put Uncharted 3 at number 4, even though I still think that's a really good game. And then, or maybe Uncharted 1. I'll put Uncharted 1 at number 4, Uncharted 3 at number 3. Uncharted 2 I'll put at number 2, and I'll put Uncharted 4 at number 1. Now, as far as The Lost Legacy is concerned, I have gone out over the last week looking for The Lost Legacy, and I have not been able to find a copy, so I'm still on the lookout for that. Also, as well, I found the Nathan Drake collection. It was $10 at the pawn shop for the PS4. I did not pick that up, and the reason why I didn't pick it up, I might, because it would be fun to stream that, but again, getting back to what we're talking about, I talked about this yesterday as well in yesterday's video, talking about Dead Island. But Blue Point Productions, they tinkered around with the original artistic direction of the first 3 Uncharted games, and they made some changes to the graphics, and I really don't like it when they do that. I don't like it when they do that. But for $10, I guess it would be a good purchase, because like I said, I could probably stream that on my PS4. So let me know if you guys would like me to do that. I think that would be a lot of fun. I would like to go back and play Uncharted, the first game. I haven't played it in a long time. Now, I picked up a copy of Golden Abyss for the PlayStation Vita. So if ever there was an excuse to play the Vita, it would be the Golden Abyss. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can hook up the Vita some way, maybe via Bluetooth, I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments below, so that you can play the Vita games through the PS4 on your TV. Let me know. Maybe that's on the PS3, I'm not too sure. But yeah, all that being said, again, I apologize. My gameplay footage ended up being images, but it is what it is, right? But if you have not played Uncharted 4 Thief's End, you don't know what you're missing. It was just an absolutely incredible experience. If you have played it, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, and one other thing. Because of the sheer, I imagine the sheer size of the game, right? There's some significant loading times when you first start up the game. But once you're in the game, there's barely any loading at all. Barely any at all. It's only when you just first start up the game. The game was remastered for the PS5, and it plays at, I believe, 120 frames a second, maybe 60. I think 120. Maybe it's 120 in performance mode, 60 in quality mode. But from what I can tell, I watched a video from Digital Foundry comparing the PS5 version of this game to the PS4. Barely. This is what I'm talking about, the graphics in this game. Barely any differences. You're seeing like a little bit more, a little less pop-up with objects and scenery in the background. And maybe you're seeing a little bit more dense, as far as the grass is concerned, or maybe when you're in Madagascar, maybe it's a little bit more, populated with flowers and trees and things of that nature, but nothing that you're really going to notice with the naked eye. So I'm going to leave it at that, because I'm going off on a tangent here. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.